Well, today on No Nonsense Reconnecting, you see, sometimes you actually meet somebody that touches you in a very special way. It has a profound impact on your life. I've done hundreds and probably thousands of interviews, but our conversation with Kaleb Dahlgren was really quite special. Now, you will remember that name. He was a Humboldt Bronco, part of the hockey team that was on the way to a game, T-boned by a transport truck. 16 players were killed, and coaches, a young broadcaster, an athletic therapist, and of course the bus driver. But number 16, Kaleb, survived. His story of literally coming back from the dead was amazing, but his spirit is what really affected me and touched me. So we thought we'd reach out and connect with Kaleb. And you are there, and you are in Fredericton. And how's life? What's going on?
Oh, well, thank you so much for the kind introduction. I appreciate it. And it definitely is nice to catch up and reconnect with you. I'm doing great, living in Fredericton right now with my girlfriend and just having a great experience on the East Coast. Being from a prairie boy in Sasky
Yeah,
in particular, coming to East Coast, a little bit different. But the people are very similar, and I absolutely love
they,
that.
they
And
absolutely are. That's where did you meet?
yeah, we met after a speech in PEI actually. So she's originally from Prince Edward Island, and
Okay.
met after a speech, and then hit it off, and then reconnected a couple years later, and then here we are today. So it's been really cool, kind of whirlwind type of thing, but super super grateful for her and our connection.
And obviously she likes you.
I think she likes me a bit, just a bit though, not a lot, just a little bit. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
you're
ease
working on
on
it
her a
though.
bit. I'm working on it. Yeah,
You're trying to win her over.
yeah,
But you are still going to school in Toronto. So this is just your
correct,
summer holiday. Now, the
correct.
last time we talked, you had gone through, did you get an MBA? Is that what it was?
I got a commerce degree, so
Commerce
just
degree.
an undergraduate degree.
And then you decided you were going to become a chiropractor.
Yes.
And I
Yep.
said, please move to Wadena so that you can work on my neck and my back, but you haven't done that yet.
Just about. I'm halfway there, finished year two on to year three now. And I
Yeah.
started treating patients in May of 2024. So only less than a year now, I'll be able to treat patients and then officially graduate June 2025. So it's come up pretty fast. And I'm super excited for that chapter of life too.
Hey, sign me up. Sign me up.
If
I'll
you're in
I'll be
Toronto, just come and hit me up.
I
Free
know when
treatment.
I'm in Toronto, I'm going to do that. So let's the physical and mental stuff. Like obviously, you're in a great frame of mind. Now you're visiting your girlfriend, so that explains part of it. Um,
No.
but do you like? How do you describe where you are in this whole process? I'll remind people of the book that you wrote, which is When We Talked to You in 2021, and the
Yeah.
accident had happened in 2018, but it was about, the book was called Crossroads. It's quite, that is you literally at where the accident happened.
Yeah.
um, and the book is called My Story of Tragedy and Resilience as a Humboldt Bronco. So when you look at this now, what goes on in your head?
I still feel healing. I feel healthy, happy, especially at that image in itself. It's a
Mhm.
very, I guess, multi-meaning image, and it's got multifaceted for sure. That was the whole idea, was to make an image just so appealing and pop. And I still feel happy, happiness, healthy, hope, because that was the last time that I shared that connection with everybody in that crossroad.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm grateful for the connection. I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful to still be here. I'm grateful for everything leading up to that, because that made me who I am today, and everything after that makes me who I am today. So that was just one snap picture snippet of my
Yeah.
life at a certain time point. And the cool part about the crossroads is that you continue to write your story every single day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You keep on going. I went back through the book and I remembered you were talking about your coach, Darcy, who was killed in the accident, and he made you guys on the team subscribe to what he called a core covenant, which was to treat your teammates and coworkers with respect, be thankful for the opportunity. The last three lines: to always have hope and believe that everything is possible, to always give more than you take, and to strive for greatness in all areas of life. Like, that really defines how you face the world.
I would say so. I'd say those are like some of the ways that I carry myself before coming on the team, during being on the team, and even after of the team. Because for me, those are things that aren't just applicable to hockey; they're applicable to
Yeah,
life. And
absolutely.
so he was teaching us life lessons on a hockey team, not teaching us X and O's. And I love that about Darcy. That's what
Yeah.
made him one of the most memorable coaches I've had in my career, was the fact that he was teaching us to be good human beings too, not just good
Yeah, I
hockey
remember
players.
you wrote about one of the stories where you were on your way to a practice, but there was a big snowstorm in Humboldt. You guys are all staying with your billet families and doing that, and you've got to get down to the rink. And he said, "No, we're not going to the rink tonight. You're going to go and shovel out driveways for people who can't do it."
Yep. And that was exactly it. It was clean your billets driveway first. So
Yeah,
take care of yourself and then take care of other people. And that was exactly what we did. We took care of our family, our billet families, driveway, cleaned that off, and got ourselves to the arena and took care of everybody else in the surrounding community. I did the arena and then we did surrounding community. So it was just something that those lessons build you into who you are today, make you who you are. And for
yeah,
me, that was one of those lessons that I still hold true today, and something that I carry forward or think about even when I see a snowfall. I see people struggling, like, oh, I can go help them, kind of thing.
yeah.
And it's just super easy, but also has an impact on people's lives that you might even notice or realize.
That's exactly right, because they'll remember that somebody reached out and helped them at
Yeah,
a moment, either big or small, right? Either big.
100%,
Tell
100%.
us a little bit, tell everybody about where you are. I mean, you're a miracle story in and of itself. I think a lot of people didn't know whether you would make it and what shape you would be in
Mhm.
if you did. And in 2 months, you were driving to Humboldt, and then the next year you were back out on the ice on skates. Like, what's your physical state?
So just to kind of give people a rundown, during the crash, I suffered a fractured skull, a puncture wound to my skull, a scalp D11, so this whole side of my head was shaved off. I had 5 broken vertebrae in my neck, 4 broken vertebrae in my back, blood clots in my left arm and my right eardrum, and muscle, nerve, and ligament damage to my neck and my back. And I suffered a severe traumatic brain injury where I shouldn't be able to remember my name, how to write, or how to talk. So that was like on April 6th, 2018.
Yeah,
Fast forward a month, I was cleared out of the hospital. Fast forward to June, I was on the ice skating. June 1st, I was back on the ice. Fast forward to July, I was in full gear skating. And then September, I was at York University skating with our team, doing fitness testing, rehabbing my injuries. And then I was got to the point where it was like January of that season where I was doing everything everybody else was doing except taking contact. And I
right.
felt really good at the coaches, my staff. They were like, "You looking so good." Um, so I went to a neurologist and went to meet with this one neurologist, Doctor Charles Tatter. He's like the world-renowned neurologist,
Yeah.
and met him. He sat me down, went through a bunch of tests, passed them all. Then he went to my image and pulled up my brain on the MRI image and showed me my brain. And he was like, "This is your brain. If I was looking at your brain, I wouldn't think that you're able to walk, talk, or remember your name. But if I look at you, you look like a student athlete at York University." And he's like, "It doesn't correlate." So I thought it was the wrong image. So I said, let's get another
Mhm.
image then. Got another
Yeah,
image.
go find the right picture. Yeah.
Yeah. And it came back the exact same. So that was like a big transformation because I was like, okay, like we need to figure out then how to pivot from this, or like what's next? Like, what do I value more? My future, or do I value right now? And obviously, like, try to live now in the moment, but I also
Mhm.
value the future because I don't want to jeopardize my future either
Right.
by being so present in the now. And
So
so for
maybe
me,
slow down a bit. Maybe.
yeah. So then I took on different roles after that. And then I was able to graduate with a commerce degree, wrote a book. And during my studies at York University, I had a book come out March 16th, 2021. I graduated in April. retired from hockey in May. So those were like three big life changes.
Yeah.
And then after that, I got accepted to chiropractic college in Toronto. So then I was able to pursue my other dream. The whole goal was to get a scholarship, play pro in Europe, and then go back to chiropractic
Right.
school. But I fast tracked that. So then all the way up to today, 2 years later, after the book, I'm feeling really good. Like I'm doing extremely well. I'm
And you're
fulfilled
physically fine.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And physically, the only thing that I have and had suffered with was a severe traumatic brain injury. All my
Yeah.
physical injuries were done in June. It was like just a rehabilitation to make my neck move better. But
Right.
that was like continuously until kind of like September, I'd say. And then like to have full range of motion kind of by January, I felt really good. So that was all done, but it was more like the brain injury. And so that was what has still been ongoing. Going, I still classify that I'm healing every day.
Yeah.
What I've done recently is called brain echotherapy. And what it is helping rewire to make your brain more efficient through new neural pathways. So we create 8,000 new neural pathways every single day. So if we
Okay.
create more efficient ones, then our brain heals better.
But how do you deliberately do that? How do you say, I want a new pathway here?
So it's through the brain listening to itself. So our brain has this thing called neuroplasticity, meaning that it can rejuvenate and regenerate a
Yeah.
lot easier. And so that's one of the organs that are able to do that. And so what it does is this machine, it's like you're connected to all these electrodes on your head, and it
Yeah.
senses the vibrational frequency of your brain. And then it listens, your ears listen to it through sounds, waves that it sends. Then you interpret it in your brain, and then what your brain does is figures out what's not working well. And then the new neural pathways that it creates are more efficient because it's like, oh, this isn't working, let's fix it. So to
So
fix
it
it through
does that.
creating new neural pathways.
The brain kind of learns that it needs to do that.
Yes. So the brain relearns how to create more efficient processing.
It's
So
it's unbelievable.
it is. Science these days and even health and technology has improved so much. And like this is just a new breakthrough in technology and health world that just came out a couple of years back now.
Yeah.
And it's only in two locations in Canada, one in Barrie, Ontario, and one in
Yeah.
Calgary. That's it. So like this is like brand new stuff. And I've also been eating healthy, good diet, good
Right.
like I've been working out every day. I'm like keeping my body in peak shape too,
Right.
and good sleep habits as well. I think like sleep, nutrition, and physical activity are like three key pieces that everybody should have in their life, and I'm
Yeah.
fortunate to have that too.
But when the doctor is looking at the brain on the scan that he's got up, and then he's looking at you, and you're out playing hockey, and I think the decisions were right, which is whoa up here a bit, right?
Yeah,
You need to
100%.
let things heal, even though you feel like you can do it. Like, did they have any explanation for how that was possible? And do you have any explanation? Is this mind over matter? Is this faith? Is this belief? Like, where does that strength come from?
Great question. And I still tinker with that question today. I think there's a combination of things. Like truly think is not just like one thing or another. I think that we all have different brains and we all handle different things differently. So, prime example, a person could have, I had 10 spots in my brain that were bleeding, that were all over, that had healed, but have created, they're called foci blossoms. And another person might have only one of them, and that might actually put them in the state that I was supposed to be in. So like there's no rhyme or reason. Everybody's brain is different. I
Right.
think some factors that helped me was the fact that I was very resilient beforehand. So I had like the mental drive to continue to get better every single day. I know it was difficult at the start. I couldn't even remember. I lost 5 days completely. Couldn't
Right.
remember anything. And then I was a completely different person when I woke up. So it was like understanding that I'm gonna have to get 1% better each day. So I had that resilience. I knew that it wasn't going to define me and let this kind of hold me back. I was going to make the most of the situation, make the most of every day. On top of that, too, was I did everything that I could possibly do. So
Yeah.
I like ate healthy. I didn't do drugs or alcohol. I didn't resort to that. I
Right.
went to bed early. I slept for like 12 hours or 14 hours every single day. Even had to have naps in the day to get in that 12 to 14 hours. I did brain games. I did everything to help my brain heal.
Yeah.
And another part of it too was my environment. Who was I surrounding myself with? Were they positive influences? Were they negative influences? They're all positive. So
Yeah.
everybody I was with was positive. And I also had
And
lots
they
of
had
support.
expectations of you, not sit down, be quiet, don't do anything. They said, okay, if you feel like this, then you do it. Like you rise to it with some common sense, of course. But
100%. Yeah. And like a part of that too was like thinking about, okay, so this is what happens. This is a situation. How am I going to turn this into something positive?
right.
And so for me, it was always trying to turn some negative into some positive. And so I think like that accumulated to the point where I was able to get back on my feet. I was able to be a part of a new team, part of doing my studies with a severe brain injury. And then I go to the doctor like almost close to a year, just before a year later, and I'm a different person. And
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, like, but I think the image only tells like part of the story too,
Yeah.
because people can walk in and have like a huge tumor. They don't even know they have a huge tumor. Some
Correct. Yeah.
people can walk in and they have um, like dysfunction with their brain, and their brain is going super slow, but they're still living a normal life and don't notice a single thing. And so it's things like that we still don't really know. And I
Yeah.
think also it's about having that belief in yourself too, because I had that belief in myself. Because at one point, nobody wanted me to go to York University, not a
Yeah.
single person.
Just like stay
Yeah,
home, stay closer to home, go
yeah.
quiet, don't try and change the world overnight. You said when you woke up, and I always found that very powerful in the book, that you just leave the pages of those days that you were unconscious, you just leave them empty because
Mhm.
you have no. So when you woke up, you were a different person. What do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
So I was completely sarcastic, rude, had no emotion, no effect. Um, I was quick-witted. I was sharp, direct, pointed, um,
Mm.
like
And that
very
wasn't you.
harsh.
You weren't like that
No, I
when.
was complete opposite. So like when all my friends and family saw that, they're like, "This isn't good. Like this isn't actually Caleb.
Yeah.
Something's wrong." And these were in those like 4 days,
Yeah.
5 days. I don't remember. I was still talking, and I was in a state called post-traumatic amnesia, where I'm talking and aware, but I don't really remember it. So it was in those days that I wasn't myself. And then when I woke up and kind of like came to my senses and figuring everything out and started to remember things. That was when I realized I was really sharp. I was really direct. I was fast and like it. I felt weird, and
And a
I was
bit
like,
nasty. You
yeah,
were,
it was,
yeah,
yeah, I felt bad. I felt like I was like, oh, why do I have these emotions in me? I've never had these emotions in me.
yeah,
And so, yeah, like that was also really interesting trying to like comprehend that and understand that it was actually my brain injury. It's not me being a bad person or anything. It's
right,
really like my brain's been severely injured that I need to rehab my brain back to a state that normally was before. Like I used to be super patient, like uber patient. And then I woke up and I had zero patience, like literally zero, like not a single thing, nothing. And so I found that to be really interesting because I was like, well, I used to be very patient with this, and why am I not patient with this anymore?
yeah. But we talked about the fact that there were kids with special needs that went to the Broncos games, and you kind of established a relationship with one of the kids, and you'd pick them up and take them to the game. And because if
Hmm.
they went in the van from the group home, then they had to come late and leave early.
Yeah.
And I mean that I've got people like that in my life, and it requires a lot of patience to do that, right?
For sure. And there was four of them. So I was like the
Yeah.
taxi for four of them. Yeah. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I still love it. And I meet with them
Yeah,
every year. And I go out for a nice little supper or lunch. And I
that's
love
great.
it. Yeah.
That's great. But those things, as you say about your character, even you recognized. You also said, and of course, you don't have any memory of this either, but to the EMTs, to the people that were on the scene, you were giving them information. I am a diabetic. I've been a diabetic
Yeah.
since I was four, being quite rational.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always been like that too. I've always been like a rational thinker, especially when like
Yeah.
tragedy or like high stakes situation. I'm really calm and like good under pressure, which is nice to know, but it's also like, yeah, it was reiterated even when I wasn't in my right sense as well.
Yeah, that part of your character is still there.
Mhm.
So how would you describe it today? Are you now, I mean, of course you've grown and you're older, but are you the same guy that you were?
I'd say yes and no. I say like, yeah, I still have my Dahlgren's diabetes program, which I did before the
Yeah,
crash. I still am a national ambassador with JDRF, which I was before the crash.
yeah,
I still do speeches for the diabetic community, which I did before the crash.
right.
I still am able to make a positive impact through my story, or at that time it was like through being a hockey player. Now
Yeah,
at this time it's more like through recovery, the Broncos, and like how I was able to overcome that. And I also say I'm a different person too because I've grown in the last, I guess, 5.5 years now. And I've also been able to have a lot more life experiences too. And so
yeah,
I
that's the
think
thing. You
that's,
were a kid when this
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, I was 20 years old when it happened, and now that I'm 26, it's a lot different.
Yeah,
But I also think, like, in that timeline, there's been lots of things that I've been super fortunate to have to work through and to endure, such as like even school, for example. When I first went to school, it took me about 5 or 6 times to read one page. And it
yeah,
took me a lot longer to read the page because I read at like this kind of speed before I could grasp it. And like that was how fast I had to read all my textbooks. So
yeah.
like I've
That'd be
grown a
tough
lot.
going. Yeah,
Oh, it was. And I've grown so much. So I think there's a lot more that has made me who I am. And I think I am different, but I also think I'm the same too. So I have the
yeah,
same heart and I still care and love for my people. I have lots of relationships that I had still then that are strong today. So I'm like
yeah.
very, very fortunate to still be same person I am and remember my roots, but also to continue to grow and blossom even more to who I am.
Yeah. So it is, of course you grow, it's hard to separate, but is this, I think we were talking about it last time that you were a celebrity for all the wrong reasons. Um, how do you manage being defined by this, the Humboldt Broncos tragedy, the anniversaries that come up every year, other accidents that happen that might trigger, and being a normal guy getting on with his life and going to school and having a girlfriend, becoming a chiropractor, and like, will you always have that in your life? Will you always be defined by that? And are you okay with that?
I think I'm okay with however people want to view me, to be honest.
Yeah,
I've came to that realization that you can't control what other people think about you. You can only
right,
control yourself and how you
right.
view yourself. And so I know that I'm more than just a humble Bronco. I'm a human
Yeah.
being, I'm a child, I'm a son, I am a man, I'm a like
A
hockey
boyfriend.
player, yeah, boyfriend, like best friend, chiropractor in the future, student, like adventurer, like there's
Yeah,
so many different aspects to me, creative. So it's just like for me, I know there's a lot to me, and I know that I'm
yeah,
not just like you're a Bronco. It's like
yeah,
there's so much more to me, and I think if people are set on that, then good for them. And if they actually do view me as something else, then that's great too. And for me, I just want to be the most true, authentic self I can be. And I feel like I have been my entire life, and I'm not
yeah,
gonna let that go.
yeah,
So for me, I've like accepted that kind of ideology that I might just have this title with me forever. But I feel like
yeah,
I've also made the most of it too. I feel like for me, I've turned something negative into something positive, and I'm proud of myself for doing that. And I'm also proud of how I've healed. Like I feel like I'm in the best headspace mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually I've ever been. And I owe it to going through this tragic situation to making me who I am today.
yeah, because it makes you, once you're determined to survive, it makes you stronger. There's no way it can't.
100%. But it's also how you view it too. Like you
No,
can
no,
take the
exactly.
positive or the
Yeah,
negative route. And so like if you survive, it still could be a negative route.
yeah.
So for me, it was like I survived. So how am I going to make the most of this life that I got?
Yeah.
And that
I
was even
mean,
before the crash.
I've never seen you as a victim. I mean, of
No.
course you are, but that's never how you've taken this, and
Yeah.
yeah,
No, and that's exactly it. And I find like for me, I would never be like, why me? Why this? I
yeah,
had that for like I think few hours. and I was questioning everything. And then
Yeah.
I thought, like, I'm just so grateful to even know those people. I'm grateful to even be here. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to make the most of my life. Like, whatever you get, you're dealt with. And you got to make the
Yeah.
most of whatever you're dealt with. And like,
Yeah.
I was dealt with diabetes when I was 4. I was dealt with
Right.
losing my good friend at a young age, losing my personal trainer mentor, almost losing my dad. I was dealt with some stuff already where I was like, all right, like, I should make the most of the situation that's given.
So you talked at the time about the wounds turning into scars and the scars being those as of a survivor, but in that positive way, which is,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm proud. And yes, I am going to, build my new neural pathways every day, and I'll probably keep doing that forever. Like you seem to have um strength from this.
For sure. And I think you can view it with strength or view it with like a
Yeah,
woo me mindset. And so for
yeah,
me, it's
yeah,
definitely strength and it's more of a uplifting aspect. And it also gives me motivation too. Like if you
yeah,
think about it, like I want to continue to make the most of every day, not just for myself, not just for my family,
yeah,
but for those who aren't here too.
yeah,
And for those who are supporting me, like I want to continue to be the best version I can be. And it's
yeah,
not like putting additional pressure on me because I'm not going to be perfect. Nobody
yeah, I
is.
know.
But
Right.
it's also having that awareness to continue to strive for your goals, continue to make the most of your life, live big, and to celebrate those wins, but also celebrate the losses because that's what makes you human.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think from the get-go, you've always had the gratitude versus the anger, except maybe for right at the very beginning when you didn't know, but it's, hey, I'm alive and I've got things to do and I can help others.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think that's a big piece to me is like what fulfills me is helping other people. Hence why I started volunteering at a very young age. Hence why I did like all the community work that I've done. And
yeah,
then me being a chiropractor, me giving speeches around the world. Like these are
yeah.
all things that I do to help other people and donate, go to charities. I'm involved with like I think 4 charities now as a national ambassador. So it's just like it's awesome to do these kinds of things and help other people in their times.
And you're like you're busy. You're keeping seriously busy.
Yeah, yeah, because like for me, I have always been a busybody, but I also find like happiness in that too. Happiness in being able to spread my wings and not spread them too thin, but spread them enough to give people hope and encouragement throughout this life.
What and I don't know whether I should even ask you this, but forgiveness is also a powerful thing. What do you make of the bus driver and what's happened in his life? Not the
Yeah,
bus
no,
driver, the truck driver that
the
hit the
truck
bus.
driver, yeah.
Yeah,
So I forgave the truck driver like really early on, like super, super early on. I didn't make it public. I don't
right,
think it needs to be made public, especially in the book when there's
right.
different controversial opinions based on it. I don't think that's anything I need to really discuss for that sake, but I have forgiven the semi truck driver. We all make mistakes at the end of the
Yeah,
day, and there was a fault in the system too. It wasn't just one thing, it
exactly.
was a
Yeah,
pileup of events that led to that event. And so there's a big fault in the system. But on top of that, too, is I've gone through a stop sign before. It was in a rural road, it was late at night. Not a single person was there at all, but I didn't see the sign. There's tree waving in the wind.
right.
Didn't see it. Went right through. Stopped mid intersection. I was like looking around. I was like, "Wow!" I just
Yeah,
went through a stop sign,
yeah.
and then it hit
Lucky.
me, and that was even before the crash. And I was like, "Well, I'm so fortunate. Nobody else was on the other end of that road."
Yeah.
And so I think like I'm not perfect. We're not perfect. And these things do happen. I don't think he was going out there and trying to
No,
ruin a bus of 16 and end
no.
16 people's lives. That wasn't the cause at all or the case. And I feel bad. I honestly feel bad because the worst sentence that he could have is the fact that he killed 16 people and
Yeah,
injured 13 others. Like that's the worst sentence, even in prison, not in prison. That's the worst sentence in my mind to
yeah.
have the knowing that that happened. And I want him to heal. I want him to be happy. I want him to enjoy his life still. And I personally don't think he should be exported or kicked out of the country because he was trying to do the right thing and he did the right thing throughout the whole process.
Yeah, he actually did. He stood up. He
Yeah.
stood up and took responsibility, which is just one of the things that, we all have to learn. to do
Yeah.
in life. So when you're on the stage somewhere talking to young people, I'm assuming it's mostly young people that you seek out to.
It's all
It's
over.
advanced.
I've done like from like kids 10 to elderly up to like 80, 90, 100. Like
Yeah.
I've done full spectrum.
So what can you say to them that you want them to really hear without them having gone through your experience? You've come to this because it was who you were. You've survived this. It's a unique experience in life. People, what can you pull out of that to say to the person who's sitting there listening? What's the most powerful message?
I think this hard to encapsulate just one powerful message from it because
Yeah,
a lot of times people are like, wow, I left with tons of things I can take home
yeah,
with me.
yeah,
Um, I think one of the big things would probably be, ooh, enjoy the grind of life is a
yeah.
big, big one to enjoy the grind.
That
And
was
I
one
think
of your,
it
life
was, it
messages
is,
way back when. Enjoy the grind. Like you're out there. It doesn't
yeah,
matter whether you're practicing hockey and the coach is making you shoot the puck in the net 1,000 times. Like
yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's a big one that they can take. Another big one too is having strength and vulnerability. I found that throughout the book process and even right after the crash, like when I told my friends that I was like, hey, like I'm having vulnerable conversations with my parents at the dinner table, they were like, wait,
What?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Why? Well, they're because they're psychiatric nurses and probably understand it a lot better than most do, but also
Yeah.
because it helps me feel better and I find strength in being vulnerable. And it's like, I think that's a big piece, especially in today's world, is having that strength because it's not easy. It
Yeah.
does take strength to be vulnerable. It does take strength to say that you're not okay, that you're not doing well, or that things are hard. And even when you do that, it's a weight lifted off of you because then you're not carrying it all now. You're able to kind of like shed a bit. And so one of the things I like to talk about is I find that I was scrolling through social media
Mhm.
and there's this person who lost 50 pounds of weight. They had their before and after picture. And I looked, I was like, oh my goodness, that's incredible. I lost 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And then I started looking at the comments and I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud. Wow, that's incredible. Good job. Who's your personal trainer? Wait, who's your nutrition? What's your nutrition plan? Are you on a diet? Can I join? Am I allowed? Like, please, I want to know more. So I'm like reading through, I'm like, yeah, like, that's awesome. And I sit down and I like put my phone down and I thought, I was like, you know what? Like, why is it when I say that I like to watch motivational videos or that I like to read self-help books that people are like, oh,
Yeah.
are you okay? Or
Are
if you
you
ever
weird?
say that you're
Yeah.
going to a counselor or a therapist, it was like, whoa,
Yeah.
are you okay? Like, but do you like, and I think it should be the opposite. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Is it helping
Good
you?
for
Can
you.
I
Yeah.
join?
Yeah.
And so then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Like mental health is just as important as physical health.
Exactly.
And if not, even more important, because if you can't mentally cope with it, then you're physically already diminished.
Yeah.
And people that have, let's say, paralyzed from legs down, still live an amazing life and make the most of their life because it all starts with up here.
Yeah.
So for me, I was one of the big things was expressing that mental health is just as important, if not more important than physical health. And a lot of people have taken that away, especially with being vulnerable and finding strength in being
Yeah.
vulnerable.
I think that really, really is an important thing because I mean it's sometimes harder for men than women to do that anyway because of the pressures that still exist, maybe not so much in the younger generation, but to just say, I'm not okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm crazy. It doesn't mean it's risky to be in the room with me. It just means I could use a little help, or why don't you just
Yeah.
sit down and we'll just talk about something, just reaching out in that way and
Yeah.
making sure that people can see that it's okay.
Yep. And
So,
asking for help is so huge. And people don't
yeah,
even realize that other people want to help. Like
yeah.
they
If
feel
you
like they're
give
a
them the
burden.
opportunity.
Yeah, I feel like they're a burden or costly, but they're not because other people truly want to help.
Yeah. So, what do you do for fun? It doesn't sound to me like you have much time.
I do lots for fun. For me, I love to work out. So every day I'll work out. getting
Yeah.
a workout, and whether that's like lifting weights or playing badminton. Just started getting badminton actually. My
Oh,
girlfriend
really?
whips my
Okay.
butt. Oh yeah, I get ruined by her. But it's a humbling thing for sure. And I also like rollerblading. I love to be physically fit. So that's like one of my big things is staying active. Another thing I love to do is read or listen
Yeah.
to podcasts or
Yeah.
audiobooks. Love doing that. I also enjoy just having like a night on the deck with friends and sitting around a fire. And
Yeah.
I love conversation, hanging out with friends. I also enjoy traveling, so like exploring the world as well. I think it's beautiful to immerse yourself in a different culture and
Yeah.
see different viewpoints. And then on top of that, I also just like having some quality time volunteering. I really find that like for me enjoyable and fun too. Giving back and helping other people has always been
That's
something
the
that
whole point.
fulfills
You
me.
give back and it's, you're the winner in that, right? You're the one that I always believe that you get more
So
out of
true.
it. Just
So true.
one little final question, because when you say you're doing this and you're rollerblading and you're doing that, but like where does risk come in into your calculation?
That's such a great question. Thank you for that. I like these questions. You're asking lots of good ones. You always have, but like these are very, very good. So I think risk has always been a huge thing for me, especially now knowing the severity of my brain injury. So beforehand, like I would have done skydiving, would have done bungee jumping, all that fun stuff for
Yeah.
me.
Yes,
But
for you.
yeah, maybe not for everybody, for me. Now I don't do that because I don't want to risk it. So like there's a fine line with
Right.
the risk. I could
Right.
literally cross the street and when it's snowing, slip on ice and hit my head.
Yep.
And that could happen to any of us. I could all or be in an accident, get ended, hit my head, bounce,
Yep.
hit it back again. So these can happen with us without ever
Yep.
being able to control the situation behind us or control the fall of the ice. Like, but it's taking those calculated risks. So would I go and play hockey professionally? No, because if I got hit, maybe not once, maybe not twice, maybe not third, but a dozen times I keep on getting hit, one of those times is obviously going to be worse. So
Yep.
I decided that wasn't the risk I want to take. But I still will go on the outdoor rink if it's not too busy out there, just play by myself, wear a helmet, be safe, not
Yeah.
worried about that. We'll still go play with my friends on the ice I trust. Lots of them are professional anyways. So they're
Yeah.
in the NHL, AHL, pro overseas. So I trust them all. It's like those situations I'm smart about, but I also don't overdo it. So like the most I think the biggest adrenaline thing I've done was a big swing. I was actually in Golden, BC, and we went like this on this huge swing down, and
Ooh.
it wasn't anything too crazy. It had no torque on my head, nothing like that. So I'm like really smart with it, and I also
Yeah.
do take calculated risks. Like I won't run across the street when it's snowy. I'll walk.
Right.
And like I'm not gonna rush somewhere just because I need to be there on time. If I'm late, it's okay. Like I'd rather
That's
get
life.
there
That's
a
right.
little bit later
Yeah.
than like rushing and getting an accident or rushing and maybe clipping something. Like it's just not worth it for me.
Yeah. No,
I
you
just
learn
plan
these
ahead.
things honestly, like some of it just comes with age and you're getting older, but like I broke my leg running down the stairs because I was late for going somewhere. And then, 2 months later, when you're still hobbling around, you go, was that really worth it? Or could I have been 10 minutes late? Right.
Yeah,
You start to make different calculations. So I'm
yeah,
really glad to hear that. I'm glad you're living life, but you're living life smartly.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate
and you're
that.
redirecting all those pathways, so they're gonna keep you doing it that way.
Well, exactly. And I think the big thing too is just continual growth. Like I want
Yeah,
to continually get healed, continually grow, and continue to blossom into the person I am, but also to like try new things. I've always been open to new experiences,
yeah,
to expanding my horizons. Because if you don't try, you'll never know.
yeah,
And so for me, I thought trying that new therapy would be beneficial, and it has been
for sure.
absolutely beneficial for me and even my schooling too. Like I've been a lot more efficient with my school and it's just, yeah, life has been a lot easier.
And family's good, everybody's good.
Yes, family's doing great. Father
Yep.
and mom just came and visited actually not too long ago. It was
Okay,
their first
great.
time on the East Coast, so they had a great time. But
Yeah,
even like them, they're doing great. They're getting to close to retirement now, so we're super
yeah,
excited for that. and excited to kind of explore life after work and see what that's all about.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just doing really good. They have a little dog that keeps them healthy and busy.
And busy. All right. So finish up chiropractic school. I'm going to come and visit and work on, getting your girlfriend to like you.
Sounds like two good goals for sure.
Kaleb Dahlgren, just so great to catch up with you again. You're just such a joy to be around. It just people just feel better because of your attitude. So thank you. Thank you.
Aw,
Yeah, it's
thank you
really
so much,
great to
Senator
see you.
Wallin. And it's great
Okay.
to catch up with you. And I
Yeah.
hope you have a wonderful day as well.
I'm at Fishing Lake, Saskatchewan. There isn't a place more
Love that.
beautiful. Oh, yeah, it's great.
Are you
Wonderful.
fishing lots?
I don't fish, but my neighbors do. So I eat a lot of fish. So I just don't have to do all the dirty work, right? They
There
just,
you go.
yeah. So no, life is pretty good. Life is very good. We'll
Oh,
see
that's
you
amazing.
soon. And you take really good care of yourself.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay, bye-bye for now. And that is it for this edition of No Nonsense with Pamela Wallin. We'll see you very soon.